It was in the house of the suicide that Lawrence Wentworth now sat. The dead man's corpse, discovered hanging in the morning, had been hugger-mugger interred, the body that then existed being then buried. With such bodies of past time the estate had no concern except to be silent about them, which it very successfully was. Wentworth, when he took the house, heard nothing of the most unfortunate incident, nor had any idea of what had happened in the space which now, properly closed and ceilinged, he had taken for his bedroom, any more than he saw through the window of his study the dead man occasionally return to the foot of the ladder which, in his world, still reached from earth to scaffolding. Neither of them was aware of the other. Wentworth had at least one advantage over many other military historians. He had known war. He had served with some distinction, partly from luck and partly from his brain, which organized well. He had held a minor position on an army staff, and he had been alert at moving masses of men about, and fitting them in, and removing them again. He could not win battles, but he could devise occupation for armies. He could always, when necessary, find somewhere for them to go, and something for them to do, and he could deal with any objections to their going or doing that were raised. His mind reduced the world to diagrams, and he saw to it that the diagrams fitted. And as some such capacity is half of all ordinary leadership in war, he really had an insight into the technical side of the great military campaigns of the past. He could see what Caesar or Napoleon had done, and why, and how. It was not to be expected that he could have seen it, as they did, before it happened. He had never had a friend or a lover. He had never, in any possible sense of the word, been in love. Yet, or perhaps therefore, his life had been pleasant to him, partly by the fortune which confirms or ruins the care of generals, partly through his own instinctive tactical care. Only of late, especially since he had come to the hill, the pleasantness had seemed to waver. He was not much over 50, but his body was beginning to feel that its future was shortening, and that it had perhaps been too cautious in the past. His large, opaque eyes, set widely in a squarish face, were acquiring a new restlessness. Also, he had begun to dream. Something moved more sharply in his sleep, as the apparition of Pauline's terror moved more surely in the streets, the invisible life of the hill quickening its pressure upon mental awareness. It was a little dream of no significance, as Mrs. Parry would have said. It was only a particular development of a common dream thing, the state of something going on. He had no reason for disliking it, except that it recurred. It was not complex, it was remarkably simple and remarkable. He was climbing down a rope. He did nothing but climb down a rope. It was a white rope, so white that it shone of its own clarity in the pitch-black darkness where it and he existed, and it stretched up high above him, infinitely high, so that as he looked he could not see where or to what it was fastened. But that it was fastened both above and below was clear, for it was taut in his hands and between his legs, twisted expertly around it. He was not sliding down it, he was descending by the aid of knots, which, though he could feel them against his hands and legs, he could never actually see in the rope as it emerged from his hands past his eyes. The descent was perplexing, for he never felt himself move, and yet he knew he was continually farther down towards the bottom of the rope, the point and the place where it was secured beneath him. Once or twice he looked down, and saw only the twined white strands stretching away in the black abyss. He felt no fear. He climbed, if he climbed, securely, and all the infinite black void did not terrify him. He would not fall. Nor did he fear the end. Not fear. No monstrosity awaited him.